Bachata is a beautiful and popular Caribbean music and dance from the Dominican Republic. However, the name has been hijacked by other dance genres that are not bachata. Listen to this discussion about that. I hope you enjoyed and leave your comments below.
We have the amazing Desiree. We have the amazing Alex. We have Christina Katarina. So let's take, and I know it's 15 minutes, but let's try to make the best of the time that we have here right now, okay? But I'm gonna give it up to the one and only content creator, influencer of TikTok, what else? Facebook, and what else? Instagram, in the building, Amelia.
Hello. Hi, guys. So, we don't have a lot of time, but we just want to have a quick little conversation about bachata and culture and the roots, which is what this whole festival is about. So, I have a few questions for our instructors. So, the first one is, why do you think it's important to learn the roots of bachata? So, we can go down the line if you guys want.
I think that the roots are very important because without knowing the past, we cannot enter to the future.
Okay, for me, the roots are important. It's a thing of if you have a strong roots, you can grow better yourself. You can know how to develop your bachata better. You can change and create your own style better without changing what is bachata.
Yes.
You can keep the flow, you can keep the cadence, and you can evolve into something interesting to show to the community and to grow the community, to make the community better. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
So I think Adam, addressed this yesterday. I feel like it answers two questions: the how and the why. Because I think it's, and I'm going to take it even a step further. I think it's not just understanding, like learning the roots and learning the roots and knowing about the roots, but also what Adam talked about yesterday, experiencing, right, and having lived through it. Because I think it's one thing, I love the fact that he said it's one thing to learn about it and to say, okay, now I understand it and I'm going to, apply as much as possible, but it's another thing to have like a certain level of respect for the people who actually went through it.
Yes.
And are still experiencing and live it. And I think it just having that cultural context only enhances, your ability to express through movement.
Yes.
All of that, yes, absolutely. I think the good word that you said was context. Oh my God, I can't talk. Context, right? To understand the context of what it is that you're doing, what it is that you're listening to, and how those things came to be. And I think that's understanding. And also, but once you experience something, like you're saying, you're experiencing the roots. And where are the roots? We know that they're in the country, right? They're in the motherland. And once you experience that, you're like, there's a deeper sense of understanding and connection that you have to the dance that just makes for a fuller experience, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like I said in the presentation to me, there's a lot of ways to look at roots. You could dive into history, music, dance, but to me, it was those stories, people's stories and their lived experiences, and so it's just so enriching, and not only is it respectful as well, but there's just so much wisdom that's been gathered by all these people and this lived experience. And so I remember once someone told me that had worked with Joanne, but he was like, if you riding one day in the car around with this, struggling musician, struggling bachatero, you're gonna learn more about bachata than whatever, and it's true. You see a lot of things. You go to the pawn shop and you see a bachata musician who's pawn their guitar, and then they get it out, and then they go to a concert. So it's just those stories, I think, is just really enriching to our experiences as well.
Yes.
Well, if you do not know, I'm from outside this culture. I'm not a Dominican, I go by that they see Dominican, but I'm not a Dominican.
What?
Yeah.
I feel you.
I'm an Indian by origin and birth. I moved to US in 2018 for my higher education. I discovered bachata when I was going through a rough phase in my life, and really the community and the music just helped me heal from all the troubles that I had in my life at that point. And I think a lot of us are here for bachata music and for dance, but also that we all want to connect with each other better, because as humans we are physical beings. And as everybody has shared here, it's more important to understand the stories of these people that come from our past. Because without that, we are all lost in our evolution. And as Christian, piggybacking on what Christian said, he talked about if you want to learn and evolve better, you need to know what you're doing first. So to understand why we are doing this, it's important to go back to the past, learn from all the lessons and learn why we are here, and enrich ourselves with that knowledge so that we understand as we are promoting this culture across the world, because bachata is being enjoyed around the world, right? And to make sure that we don't culturally appropriate something that cannot be appropriated.
Yes, preach!
It's very important to just understand this history and roots. And I just want to say thanks to the festival for creating this environment for
Friends, so they can keep growing and gathering more people, so we make a huge wave and take over the world.
Yes, viva bachata!
My voice.
I'm going to address just the power of community. I think that you all know that bachata was a dance that was born out of oppression. So when we think about how Trujillo, the dictator in the Dominican Republic, suppressed the ability for people to even hear the music, I think the power of the people saying, like, you know what, we like this type of music, we relate to it, right? It's not just for a particular social class, it's for all of us. So I think when I think about the stories of how the people said this is what we want, and they stuck together, and this allowed Radio Guarachita, for example, to give a platform to bachateros to have their music be heard, and the people supporting it. I think with the evolution, what scares me a little bit is the power that the festival and Congress world has, and not enough presence or representation of this type of music on the main dance floor, on the main night.
Yes.
I think that we as consumers, we need to push for what it is that we want, just the way people of the Dominican Republic push for bachata to be heard. Because I remember going to concerts and seeing Raulín Rodriguez and Anthony Santos with their guitar, and now you don't see that often. A lot of bachateros have dropped their guitars, and my fear is that they'll also drop their mics. If they don't have an audience to perform and play for, then that's where we start kind of like losing it. And so if we don't support each other, if we don't request what we want, supporting the artists that play the music, supporting the artists that teach about not the music and the culture, but also the culture, and also making sure that we as leaders of the community, instructors, take the onus and responsibility to make sure that the traditions, that the stories, that the background, the culture, that all of that context is being still taught.
Yes!
I definitely echo that about community and voices and asking for what you want, right? With that is for sure. I think evolution is inevitable. Nothing in this life stays the same. So I think it's natural evolution that things change. But I think the identity and the soul of the music does not have to change. And sometimes it is a little scary once we see such rapid growth in an area that can take off in different forms, right? Sometimes we lose the connection that we thought that we had to the music. And I think the question is, how do we keep it, you said, how do we keep it traditional? What was the question?
Yeah. How do we keep the tradition?
How do we keep the tradition of the music?
And dance.
Yeah, well, the music, the dance, like as it changes, how do you keep the tradition?
Preservation.
I think let me pass the mic here, because keeping the tradition, right, to me is like keeping the tradition of us dancing in the space, keeping the tradition of the music staying the same, the dance staying the same. I think I think those are all different questions, but maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really challenging question because, you know, we have to you hold that balance between tradition, roots, and, you know, something that's not in a museum, you know, it's a living, breathing
That's what I'm
thing
saying.
and people, you know, and so, you know, as the music, let's say a great song, music travels to Venezuela or Colombia, it doesn't come with necessarily cultural education, it doesn't come with a dance teacher, it's just a great song that travels. No manual, and people feel it and they respond to it, so, you know, there are gonna be those, there's gonna be changes, you know. But at the same time, I guess with my YouTube channel, and it's just been trying to give voice or collect voices, hear differing opinions, and then put those out to maintain a balance, you know, of providing a platform for voices to be heard that maybe aren't heard as much. And so, yeah, you just have to, you know, I would say for everybody, ultimately, if you do and you pursue and you really try to stick to your values and pursue that positivity, that's probably the best way, you know, and, instead of falling in the trap of just focusing on money. Money's important to keep things going, but, you know, stick to your values. So.
Yes.
Well, I think this is a very important topic to kind of get into because bachata is growing and it's inevitable that it's going to go through changes and it goes through multiple cultures and they're amazing artists. I just started teaching a year ago. I'm a new teacher in the scene, right? But I've been dancing for about 3.5 years. And even from the time I started and the changes that I'm seeing now with respect to what music is being played at socials or what's being taught at classes, that's been a big change that I can observe and I can tell that it's kind of changing, but there's also the inevitable thing that things always change through time, right? But as they all mentioned, it is important to support artists who are still teaching this art no matter how much we go through this time. Because let's say you go to a festival, it says Bachata Festival. It's amazing that you're learning all these revolutionary styles, but how can it be a festival? I heard this from Serena, one of my friends, I don't know if she's here, but literally she said, they call it a Bachata Festival, but you don't hire any traditional artists in it? What's that about? So, if you're an organizer who's sitting here or thinking about organizing, if you're putting together a Bachata festival, pick your poison, pick your style, but make sure you have people who can, educate.
Yes, make it Dominican.
Desiree, it's fusion, and all of the amazing people that are here, right? So that would be number one thing that I would want. And again, this is me talking from a perspective of a student, who still goes to festivals to learn, attend, and kind of learn constantly, right? And DJs, if there's anybody who's a DJ in here, make sure we play music. If you're playing every kind of music, we have to make sure there's a balance of what we play in socials, right? How many times have you been to a social and I'm not feeling this music, and that's 90% of the social, and you literally play that, right? And it's not that the music is bad. It's all about maintaining that balance. And if what DJs need to understand, in my perspective, is that if a person from the culture actually comes to your social or an event, they need to be able to enjoy their own music. If they cannot, then that's not bachata.
Yeah, don't call it bachata.
And again, I'm an outsider to this culture, just putting that in perspective. And this is based on the observations that I've noted so far. And the way we bring back change comes from within. All of us, me, Adam, everybody, everybody here can make that change. How? Ask for what you want. You like traditional? Ask your community leaders that we want this more. Are you like specific style? But make sure you learn the roots first. That's why this festival is very important, and it comes from the heart and soul. Yes? Yes. So, thank you so much.
Culture from
that country saying my technique is superior to yours. If you don't have this, you cannot dance bachata. This is how bachata is danced. I think that that's where the appropriation and the inappropriate way of
The supremacy.
Yes, because at the end of the day, right, this is a street dance and it comes from the oppressed people. So I feel like when there are certain fusions that make sense. For example, even the fusion of dembow, I love the way that each country interprets bachata, and I think that they, at the end of the day, it's an art form, it's a dance. Everyone has their own. They have a choice of how they express it, but when we become leaders of the community and we're teaching and we're saying this should be this, it should not be that, and a lot of times these people don't have the cultural context, they haven't lived through any of these things, and so for me, that's where I'm kind of like, ugh.
It's really sensitive when you're talking absolutes like that.
Yeah.
First of all, you do not have to have ballet technique to be a good
Bachata
bachatero. And again, with the rise of all of these festivals and the congresses, right? You're talking about tradition. 10 years ago, we wouldn't have had this festival here. People weren't focused on bachata. I mean, this is a reality, maybe not 10 years ago, but a little bit even before that. Like, people weren't focused on bachata in the way that they are today. So with the rapid growth, the competitions and all of these other things, people are pushing a bachata agenda that not necessarily is from the country or aligned with the roots of what the dance is. And that's unfortunate. Yeah, totally.
Okay, I'm going to keep it short and I'm going to be nice.
Keep it real, keep it real.
Get excited when talking about this. So, okay, you can dance whatever you want, however you want. You can mix with almost, some of the other dances. But the thing is to keep in the essence, the cadence, the flow of Dominicans when you dancing, when you're mixing, when you're doing fusion. This is my opinion, okay? I'm not against central dancer, fusion dancer. I dance everything. Go first, I'm a dancer. You have to do what make you happy. But there is other dancers that are claiming that they are an evolution. They are not. So I don't want to get into much because as what we talked before, it doesn't come from the roots directly. This is the truth. You might like more, you might like less, but they're not coming from the roots. They are a creation using the Dominican music. And there is, like you say, agendas where they're trying to promote this, like that they're coming from Dominican Republic, but it's not. Okay, I know that some people don't like these answers or don't listen to this, but this is the truth. Okay?
Preach!
Okay. So I'm going to pass the mic because I don't want to be more. Stand here becoming mad.
We gotta be out of here, right? So we're gonna take one more question. So Serena, go ahead.
I feel like there's been a lot of focus on supporting and uplifting artists who can bring the culture to the community. Looking forward, how can we bring more focus to professional representation of Black Dominican follows, femmes, and women to our event spaces and create a safer, more inclusive space with a community of Black followers?
Ella dice como para la comunidad de feminismo de afroamericanas, cómo podemos tener más representación en una comunidad que se sienta más segura.
You said no. I was going to say that. I mean, I think it definitely starts with fostering safe environments where people feel included, feel represented, and that goes back to what you were saying and what we talked about before. Having representation matters. Having, representations of follows with female or male, it doesn't matter, whatever gender you are leading, and for those people to be highlighted on a major platform matters. So regardless of what gender you are, to be able to be seen, following, or leading. But like I said, representation matters. Being in spaces where you feel safe matters. That's first and foremost.
I would like to say that I think that this question tied with a lot of things a lot of changes that we want to see in the scene. I think is a collaborative effort. Like the other day, someone posted something about like, why don't they play traditional bachata in the main ballroom? Like that's the DJ's fault. I'm like, it's not really that simple. This community is comprised of like the circle of bachata, the circle of dance, right? You have organizers, you have DJs, and you have consumers, and then you have artists, right? And so, for example, when I look at the topic of, for example, like how do we get representation of this music in the main ballroom? Everyone has a vested interest. You have, as consumers, what you want to hear, right, at the social, and the DJ may want to play some of that music to you, but guess what? They're also in between what you want and what the organizer wants.
Right.
If you're at an event where a lot of people like a specific style of bachata, the organizers will tell the DJ, hey, listen, if that sounds too ding, 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 you're gonna clear the dance floor. And we gotta make sure that the dance floor stays full, because at the end of the day, they have a vested interest, right? They want to make sure that they're promoting and that and so I think when we think about the representation, right, and having different types of people in the community, it's the responsibility of all of us. It's the organizers making sure that those type of artists are hired if they're out there, right? It's the responsibility of us as social dancers, making sure if you see someone that maybe doesn't look like your typical bachata dancer, that you ask them to dance, right? That they feel safe. You know, or what the society says, oh, this is what a bachata dancer looks like. And so I think it's everyone. It's a collaborative effort, but I think that we're taking the right steps in the right direction. Spaces like this, I think, are definitely a start. And also panels like this is also like the education, letting us all be more informed, making sure that this community is inviting to all types of people, of all backgrounds, of all creeds, of all genders, of all identities. So.
That was it, y'all.
He says that it's important for the minority, for those who feel minority in this community, to attend these type of events so that they are, I guess, seen more, so that they have more visibility, and so that it also creates more of a diverse environment.
So unfortunately, guys, we have to cut it there because we do have to move on, and everybody has to go.